Jo, hi, zurück zu Dr. Dekker. Also, wir haben noch Claire und Bryce übrig. Die Claire war ja die ihren Mann mehr oder weniger weggestochen hat. War nicht so nett und ein bisschen brutal ist sie auch. Da müssen wir mal gucken, was die da gemacht hat. Beziehungsweise er wurde ja auch erstochen hier, unser Doktor. Und Bryce, der hat sowieso in einer Meise, aber ich meine, wer hat das nicht in diesem Spiel? Jetzt gucken wir mal, was sie hier zu erzählen hat, wo sie zum Beispiel am Valentinstag war.
The day Dr. Dekker was killed, I had a session with him in the morning at my usual time, 11 o'clock. That was the last time I saw him.
Um 11, ich denke um 10:20 Uhr haben sie nicht schon gechillt. Hey.
Dr. Dekker made me an offer that I couldn't refuse. I'll be taking it to the grave with me, though. As did he. It's the anniversary of my parents' death today. I went to the lake house. I always go to the lake house anyway, but it's also where they died.
Mann, ey. Das ist die
They
Frage, ne?
died of carbon
Erstochen.
monoxide poisoning.
Oh,
I was staying at a friend's house. Otherwise, I would have died too. I stood for a while, looking across the water. It's peaceful there. It's the place that makes me feel the most. There was a girl there, by the lake, only about 9 or 10. She was fishing, if you can call it that, with one of those nets on a stick. I don't know why I talked to her. She looked sad. I don't usually talk to children, but she seemed different, special. I'm allowed to talk to her, aren't I, Doctor?
tja. Klar darfst du zu dir sprechen.
David had been hunting again, and, well, she's seen some of the skins he hung around the lake house. Animal skins. David hunts, then skins. It's horrible, really. He's not really good at either job, so the skins still have great lumps of bloody carcass hanging off them. I'm sure he'll get better with practice. David wasn't there. Or at least I didn't see him. I didn't go inside. I forgot my key, and the spare was missing.
Aha.
Good. It felt nice. I felt like I was being nice. I felt human. So I can find her and talk to her again, Doctor. I don't mean I'm going to hunt her down. Just, if I see her, I'll talk to her again. Valentine's Day night, I was at the lake house, watching David, like I always do. Love? Yes. I suppose I always will.
Mhm.
He has trouble with his mental faculties and is getting worse. Yes. I watch him and make sure nothing bad happens. It was 12 years ago. I was still very young. Too young to be an orphan anyway. I had to toughen up quickly. I don't know. I suppose she just reminded me of me. I spent a lot of time alone as a child. She said she was trying to catch some strange creatures that she's seen in the water.
Mhm.
I don't know. Minnows, probably. Everything's strange when you're a child. Met isn't the right word. David has always been there, in the shadows, on the periphery. I move in very exclusive circles. You tend to see the same faces. I don't move in any circles anymore. Those people were my parents' friends, not mine.
Boah, ich komme nicht weiter, ne? Ist schon krass. Bryce völlig zugeknallt. Naja, lass mal gucken, was er am Valentine's Day gemacht hat.
I spent most of Valentine's Day at the art gallery. Well, the evening part, anyway.
Aha.
They had a display with the theme Love Conquers All. I didn't get most of the paintings, but they were well done.
Ja, passt auch, ne? Wenn die sich gegenseitig da die Alibis zuschieben.
Sometimes I see a girl standing behind you. I don't know who it is. I don't know what you're asking me either. Possibly a relative of yours. Possibly a patient that died here. I'm not sure. She doesn't normally say anything. There's something I want to tell you about. Something else that's wrong with me.
Oh.
I think I've been getting a bit out of control in my hour. When I first got the hour, I was shocked, obviously. It took me a while to work out that everyone was frozen and only I could move, because I live on my own. What would you do, Doctor, if you had an hour where everyone was frozen? Go to a fairground? That was just an example, Doctor. I'm sure you can come up with more exciting things to do than that. Yes, I would steal too.
Ja.
And I have stolen. I ran out of milk, so I thought I'd go to the local all-night shop and get some more. I was absolutely intending to pay, but when I got there, everyone was frozen. I thought about leaving money on the counter, but that seemed weird. The cashier would wake and suddenly this money would have appeared from nowhere. But I've stolen bigger things.
Oh, was denn? Oh.
I did think, what good could I do, other than catch up with work? I did see a woman who was having her purse snatched, so I gave her purse back, and the crook, I placed him on a bus a few blocks away. I have no idea where it was going. She'd never really be able to thank me, so I took another picture.
Picture?
Well, that makes me feel a little better. There's a young mother, divorced, who lives opposite me. Jessica. She's friendly and says hello to me, smiles. I've always wondered what she looks like naked. So 1 hour, I broke into her house. She was standing in her bedroom. I took it as a sign. I took off her clothes and...
And done?
I took photos of Jessica when she was naked. When I'd stripped her. When she was naked and frozen. I didn't want to have to do it again, to strip her again. So I took pictures to remind myself what she looked like. That's wrong, isn't it, Doctor?
Ah, schon ziemlich krass.
I know. It's that bloody Dr. Dekker. He made me this way. It's all his fault. Like I said, I originally presented with depression, and everything was going well for a while. Then Dr. Dekker changed. He was easily distracted during sessions, like he wasn't listening. I'm pretty sure he wasn't listening half the time. I don't think he wanted to know about his patients anymore. But when he did give you advice, he told me to use my imagination, to make something up, to think something crazy, and it would become real. He told me to think of a way to get more time. So I did. But he pushed me. He made me think it.
Alter, ist der durch, ey. Junge, Junge, Junge.
I dug the grave for Dr. Dekker. I helped carry his coffin to the burial site. Do you know what? It didn't weigh enough to have a body in it. Why do you think that is? No, the coffin wasn't empty. There was something in it. A decoy, I'd imagine. I'm guessing he was buried somewhere else, or cremated. Somebody somewhere didn't want his body going in the ground. Do you want to be cremated or buried, Doctor? That's a good choice, Doctor. Less work for me.
Destroyed.
Because you have to hope, don't you, Doctor? It's only the power of hindsight that made me realize how toxic it all was. And after a point, you go too far to be able to come back anyway.
Von wo?
That wretched dig goes on 24/7. 25/7, if you ask me. Your patient, Nathan, caused quite a stir. He interrupted one of the female students all night, apparently. Made her miscategorize some findings, going on about his dead girlfriend. It's amazing what you hear at the coffee machine. Well, I suppose that's a bonus. We're allowed to use their coffee machine while they're there. Yes, I suppose I've destroyed a few things whilst in the hour. You can be the perfect supervillain. Nobody knows it was you.
Tja, oder auch nicht, ne? Ich will mal kurz gucken, was haben wir denn in den Notizen? Ah, Mann, das ist echt übel, ne? Ich kann auch niemanden mehr fragen. Kann ich Sie noch ein bisschen was fragen? Nö. Ich glaube, wir müssen mal auf den nächsten Tag, wa?
David Hunt,
I can change my skin.
then Skins.
Dr. Dekker dated his patients.
I had a hot date
We went out for drinks.
I took photos of Jessica.
Dr. Dekker did
on
phone
Valentine's Day.
And asked me for Nathan's number.
There was a girl there.
Am I wrong to keep the locket?
I'm allowed to talk to her, aren't
He
I?
was preoccupied with finding
Photographs,
patterns.
rocking chair.
I haven't been back to the beach since
I had a bit of a shaky loop incident.
where I find something
I set fire
beautiful in the sea.
to Hannah's clothes in the garden.
I dug the grave.
I wish I'd said goodbye.
Dr. Dekker cursed me.
It didn't weigh enough to have a body in it.
Oh, Doctor, you surprised me. Reminds me of Officer Yates. Did I ever mention I had a special friend in the police force? Nah, it's not something you drop politely into a conversation. He's been doing some digging and he's found a couple things. There's a crime scene report that goes into all the gory details and another report that's about a patient you're seeing today, Claire. I'll put them both on the desk for you. And thanks for the grief counselling, by the way. It's really been helping, you know, I'm so glad you're here.
Spiked, okay. Also müssen wir uns mal die, ja. Wir müssen uns mal die Beweise anschauen. Claire kommt, okay. Claire ist da. Jetzt müssen wir mal gucken. Ja, das wollte ich sie aber damals schon fragen. Hat ja wohl nicht geklappt, ne? Lass uns mal eben die Crime Scene Report. The victim was located in his office, seated on a chair behind the desk, soaked in blood, with an obvious chest wound. Okay, paper spike. Mhm. 8:30 to 10:30. Discovered at 10:20. Okay, Cause of Death ist klar, haben erstmal schön die Arterie getroffen. Okay, haben wir verstanden. Vielleicht mit dem, was ist das, was sagt man denn? Ein Brieföffner, ne? Paper Spike, oder ist das das Ding, wo man die ganzen Dinger drauf piekt? Vielleicht auch drauf pieken, ne? Ich weiß es nicht. So, wir haben aber noch was anderes. Class Arrest Report. Ach du Scheiße, okay. Christian Weber, Police Officer. Knowledge Statement true, understand personal, blah. After 40 hours on Tuesday, 8th November, myself and blah blah responded to a call received from a neighbor. Blood, steak knife ist richtig. So, dead man and she and her husband David. She said, you are under arrest on suspicion of murder. Ja, ist wohl klar. Aber was ist denn hier jetzt interessant? Rang at the address, knocking at the front door, but there was no reply. When they examined the rear of the property and gained entry through the... We entered the property through the door and I announced myself by shouting, police! Didn't appear to conscious. Okay, both persons were drenched in blood. And there was a sustained amount of blood on the carpet, wall and furniture. I noted the appearance of steak knife. Okay, also es passt zu dem, was sie gesagt hat. Ist auch das, was da drin, also was hier drin steht und das, was sie sagt, ist schon dasselbe. Ich würde jetzt echt mal fragen, was ist denn los mit...
It sounds to me as if Dr. Dekker's murder was a spur-of-the-moment thing. If you were planning to kill someone, you'd bring a weapon with you, wouldn't you? I imagine that the paper spike made a very good weapon, though. It could look quite menacing, glinting in the moonlight.
Die ist schon ein bisschen krank, ne?
So quick to jump to conclusion, Doctor. Obviously I meant sunlight. It makes for interesting reading, doesn't it? I can tell you're dying to ask me about it. Fire away. That's what it says. I can see you're confused. The police say that David is dead, fatally wounded when I stabbed him. The coroner says that David is dead. Everyone says that David is dead. There was even a funeral. But I know he's alive. David wanted to have a talk about our relationship. Not something any married person wants to hear. He said he'd been with Iris for about a year and that he loved her. He said he didn't love me anymore. Which I know is a lie. You don't just fall out of love with somebody. I reacted badly. I grabbed the nearest weapon I could find, which happened to be the steak knife, and stabbed him with it. There was so much blood. I instantly regretted it. So I fixed him.
Tja, das kann man auch anders sehen.
It was about a week later. I brought David back to life. Not with voodoo, not with virginal sacrifice. I just willed it to happen, and it did. Dr. Dekker told me it was possible, but only if you're not buried. He says once you're in the ground, there's no coming back. But until then, you have a chance at resurrection.
Kann das sein, dass der Dr. Dekker auch einen kleinen Vogel hat? Meine Güte, oder hatte? Wie hast du das
Yes,
gemacht?
resurrection. But now that I've seen the results, I don't think there's anything holy about it. I think reanimation is more an accurate term. Like, I'm an evil necromancer raising things from the dead.
Alter, die sind alle voll crank, ey.
I think his brain was already decaying during the week that he was dead. Important bits. So when I brought him back to life, I didn't heal him completely. Just gave him life in the state he was in. I mean, he's hunting and killing things and trying to roast them on fires he can only light with matches, but that's about it. He's your basic Neanderthal. So I have a problem. I'm being charged with murder because the police don't know he's still alive, and I can't get David to vouch for me for obvious reasons. I think it would raise quite a few more questions than answers, which is why I'm hoping that you'd be able to help me. Considering the circumstances, I'd be grateful if you could see your way to declaring me temporarily insane at the time of the murder, to lessen my sentence. Because I'm not a killer, but I can't prove otherwise. You don't still think I'm a killer, do you, Doctor?
Klar, glaube ich das. Ich glaube, es hackt.
At worst, it's manslaughter. I didn't mean to kill him, I just stabbed him a bit. And although he was dead for a week, I brought him back to life.
Alter,
Does this
du
mean
bist
you
im
won't help
Arsch.
me? Was I temporarily insane? I'm going to pretend that I didn't hear that. Let's have a few more sessions before you seal our fates. Or is it that you want something else? Like Dr. Dekker did.
Okay, was wollte denn Decky Boy?
Dr. Dekker teased me mercilessly about my alleged ability. He didn't believe I'd reanimated David. Once he presented me with a dead mouse and commanded me to give it life again. I didn't, of course. It's not something I'd throw around lightly. He changed his mind about me eventually. And then he mentioned the girl.
Which girl?
He told me he'd locked up a girl in the basement of his house. Just for me. And he asked me to reanimate her. It was Iris. I said I couldn't reanimate something that wasn't dead, and he said that wouldn't be a problem. So I agreed. I just played along. I was hoping it wasn't real. I assumed it wasn't real. But he was offering me what I wanted, a temporary insanity diagnosis. Dr. Dekker asked if I could prove David wasn't dead, so I took him to the lake house. He saw that I was telling the truth. I can take you to see him too, if you like. Would you like to see David, Doctor? Very well. In our next session. It didn't happen. Dr. Dekker called me from his house to cancel. He was furious. He said that Iris had escaped and he blamed me for it. He said that I must have set her free after he told me about her. I knew it was all lies anyways. He was obviously titillating himself by reprimanding me. He knew I'd never want to speak to Iris again, so I couldn't prove it either way. He's buried at Henley Church. You can go see for yourself. There's even a headstone.
Alle an dieser
One of your other patients was a
Kirche, ne?
pallbearer. I never forget her face. You should ask him.
Alle in dieser Kirche, ey.
Bryce was a pallbearer for David. He's also a gravedigger, I believe.
Pricey Boy. Da haben wir was mit ihm zu besprechen, ha?
Smuggling a body out of a funeral can be difficult, unless you pay the right people.
Okay.
I've been to the lake house regularly, keeping an eye on David. I saw the girl again, the one I told you about. She was playing outside. How astute, Doctor. Yes, I did say I hadn't seen Dr. Dekker outside of our sessions. That wasn't a lie. Our trip to the lake house was made during a session.
Uh-huh.
I didn't speak to her this time. Something about her made me feel uneasy. I just watched her from the bedroom window. She'd caught a fish. She was holding it in her hands. I wasn't close enough to see, but for all intents and purposes, it looked as if the fish bit her. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I caught a fish alive.
Junge.
You tell me. What could possibly explain that? Since I brought him back, I felt that there was something different about him, something not quite right. I think it's his brain. But how ludicrous that you can bring someone back in the first place. It's like that book, Pet Cemetery. Funnily enough, he does smell of earth, but that's because he spends most of his time out hunting.
Das sind also Sachen, ne? Das ist echt ätzend. Ask patients about the paper spike.
I assure you, David is not a ghost. I've touched him. If David doesn't exist, then that means that I really did kill him. He really is buried, and I really should be going to prison for a very long time.
Yep.
That just doesn't seem right to me. It's more probable that I reanimated him under Dr. Dekker's guidance.
Tja. Ich sag's mal ganz offen, ne? Ich glaube, wir fragen die ganzen Leute erst beim nächsten Mal weiter, weil es ist ja so übel mit dem Paper Spike, ist natürlich klar. Aber die können wir alle nochmal durchfragen, ne? Alter, und der schnarcht schon wieder. Okay. Mehr gibt's beim nächsten Mal, Leute. Tschüssi.